All right, everyone, let's continue discussing what we want out of this group. I haven't really heard much from you, Ray. Would you like to sort of let us know what you're thinking of in terms of what you want from this group, and how you think that you can achieve that? All right, thank you. I do understand being angry about not being able to be with your partner when they are passing away, especially from something so serious, and, sort of feeling like you're being judged and all that business. I can understand why that would anger you and why you would be feeling some sort of resentment and really struggling to get through this time as your life partner has passed away. Continuing forward, as everyone else has spoken about already, I would really like for us to continue to use self-logs and sort of this rating scale that we have established in this group week to week, so that we can see the progress that we have made in terms of our grief. Obviously, as we all know and have gone over thus far, there are 5 stages to the grieving process. While not all of us will go through all 5 stages, nor will we go through them in order, it's important to know those stages and to acknowledge them. This will also help us to continue on with the scale. Knowing the stages of grief and how they affect you personally will help you be able to rate yourself and sort of, track your progress and where you are in this sort of group therapy. So we have about 10 minutes left of this first group here. So, I'm glad everyone here has gotten a pretty decent amount of time to discuss what they are feeling and what they wanted to talk about. And obviously, as the facilitator, I have been prompting you guys to talk about some things that I felt were important to establish in this first group. So I think that it's time for us to go around and talk about how we feel about that scale and how we feel in general about coming to group in the future, how we think it might help us. I just want to hear from some more people about how you're feeling right now in terms of right now and the near future. I want to know, are you sort of feeling confident about the scale? Do you have any questions about the scale? I know that obviously with Ray, and I know a couple other of you folks, that there are still some harsh emotions, and that is okay. I mean, we are definitely still in that first meeting, so it's okay to still have those hurt feelings and resentments, or just the grieving process as a whole. It's really important for us to acknowledge those feelings, though, and to process them properly so that we can move past that grieving stage, because I know that that none of us want to continue grieving for, the rest of our lives. You loved your partner, and you just want help getting through this difficult time. So we can all acknowledge that. So let's go around the room. Let's start with you, Ada. And let's just talk about how you feel about the scale in terms of confidence, how you think it might work. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I do understand your concern. Obviously, as you just shared, you are feeling pretty nervous about this whole thing. And especially in terms of making sure that you are fully prepared to do the log honestly and accurately, and I can understand how that may be sort of worrisome, especially if you've never been in a group before. Filling out a specific scale or logging your thoughts or feelings in a diary or journal of some sort can definitely be pretty nerve-wracking, and I feel for you, and I definitely completely understand. We're gonna make this super easy as possible. We are going to remember that this is a safe space, that we're all here for each other, and all of us are going through the same things. Obviously not exactly, as we know, not everyone is going through the exact same experience, but there is comfort in knowing that there's someone right next to you in a group of people that is going through something similar to what you're going through. So what we're going to do is make the self-rating scale in terms of grief as simple as possible, so there's no confusion, there's no worry. You just check your log once a week and you write down how you're feeling about everything, and then we'll move forward with the actual writing. Just jot down some of your feelings. We're gonna just write down every week how we're feeling, how we're sort of coming along in the grieving process. And hopefully at the end of this group session, after all of our group meetings, we can really see how this group was effective in supporting each other through this grieving time. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And of course, I will be here whenever you need to help support you, to offer you assistance, advice, anything you may need if you ever feel overwhelmed or worried about the actual logging process. I understand this is our first meeting, so everything can seem a little crazy and overwhelming all at once at first. But as we continue on in these group meetings, you'll see that there is not too much that you have to worry about. You have me, your facilitator, and you also have each other if you need to lean on anybody else. So I'm glad that we've all gotten sort of that chance to share about how we're feeling about moving forward in the group. That's super important. So like I said, we have a little less than 10 minutes left of our group. So I just wanted to go and summarize everything that we've talked about so far today and sort of talk about where we're going to go from here. So far today, obviously we've talked about why we're here. I mean, everyone here obviously has lost a life partner and is going through the grieving process right now. Some of us are having a little more challenging of a time, but nonetheless, we are all working hard to get through this time together. So we have talked about all our goals for this group, what we personally feel like we want to get out of it, and what we as a group want to get out of it. In addition, we have discussed how we are going to start doing a self-log, not only a self-scale each week to determine where we are in the grieving process, but also just jotting down our feelings every week just to see more elaborately where we are on that scale, since just a number sometimes doesn't always accurately represent how we're feeling at that specific time. So going forward, we have also talked about, most recently and finally, our feelings about how we're going to move forward with said log and how we feel about the group as a whole as we go forward, and how we think things might work. So I'm glad that we got the chance to do that. So I just want to go around the room one last time, and I want to ask everyone here, how are you guys feeling about today? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling comfortable? Are you optimistic? I want to know how each of you are feeling about this particular group meeting. I want to know if there are any questions, concerns, comments, anything that you may have to say or ask about this particular meeting, so we can leave today with a clear and focused mind moving forward to our next group meeting next week. Bob, why don't you start us off? Okay, Thank you for sharing that. You know, the fear of being able to open up to your group members is definitely a huge concern that I have seen many times before this, actually. As you know, this is not the first time this group has been in effect. This is a very effective group that has helped clients in the past. And you are not the first one to feel concerned about whether or not you think you can fully open up to the group or not. I would just like to revisit confidentiality and sort of reassure everybody that what we say in this room will stay in this room. Obviously, you know the special cases as to when that would not be the case, but for the most part, we all need to make sure we keep everything in this room first and foremost. We can establish that trust as well as be able to open up each individually. In addition to that, I think that, you know, it helps knowing that everyone in this room is going through some sort of variation of the same thing. It's really important to know that these people are not here to hurt you or anything of that sort. We're all here to listen and just move on through the grieving process, as we have all established that we're all having a bit of trouble doing so. So I think that that's a very important thing to note. I really think that your concern is valid, and I hope as we continue on through this that you don't have as many concerns, or at least your concerns dwindle a little bit, and we can continue on this path towards success for all of us. Does anyone else have anything to share in terms of comments, concerns, questions? Yeah, Alice? Thank you for sharing. I really enjoy your optimistic attitude, and obviously, as we know, some members of the group are feeling some concerns about how this may be effective or may work, and that's okay. It's okay to be concerned about the effectiveness of a group and how it will actually help you and other group members. And I will always acknowledge that. I will never make you feel less for not agreeing with something or not quite believing in something yet. But I really appreciate, Alice, that you have stepped forward and talked about how you feel that this is going to be a good experience for you. I mean, obviously, as you had said previously in the group meeting, you're struggling with some loneliness in this grieving phase, and I think it's very good that you and everybody else gets the chance to experience people who have different thoughts and emotions that may be different personally, but overall is sort of the same sort of situation. We're all sort of grieving a loved one. And I think being able to open up to people who are experienced those same things as you is very important. And I think that it's very helpful as well. So thank you very much for bringing up that other side of things and everything like that. Are there any other questions, comments? Yes, Ray. Yes, okay, that's a very good question. So I'm going to do my best every session to make sure that everyone gets an equal chance to speak. And of course, I don't want you guys feeling like you have to speak every time you are asked if you are uncomfortable speaking or truly have nothing to say to that particular prompt. I want you to be honest and to say that, I don't feel comfortable sharing. I don't think that I have anything to say regarding the topic. That's okay. And I want to try to make these topics as clear and focused as possible so that we all can contribute, not just one specific person controlling the group. I want all of us to be able to contribute to the group. That's a very good question. No, you'll never be forced to participate, but it is always encouraged. All right, well, our time is up here today, so I hope that I was able to provide some closure for you guys, answer any comments or questions that you had, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week. Bye.